That sounds good. Back again with another video. Holy, who would have thought it? It's Daihatsu stuff. Look out, look out. I might be doing a bit of Daihatsu stuff. Anyway, big accoutrement of stuff. Don't worry too much about that up there. That's for another experiment. I'm trying to see if I can adapt an aircon evaporator into a factory Daihatsu heater box, which would be pretty nice. I'm working on that. But what this is the important part. So, Sarge, the ute, stranded in the shed on the other side of the little green truck. It's been done for a while now. All it needs is a windscreen, basically, and it's pretty much ready for rego. I can't get a windscreen in it because I need to take it to the windscreen shop. The battery in it's dead. Somehow the seat sliders have seized, so I can't slide the seat forward to get to the seat. So you've got to jump start it or charge the battery off the alternator, which doesn't really work that well. So I'm doing away with the factory battery box. I'll take you out to Dad's truck and I'll show you what I mean. A little bit chilly down here in the Central West at the moment. This is odd. Not really. So, in the later Daihatsus, the ones with the horizontal slots, not the vertical ones, the battery box is under the driver's seat. Which I really like I don't have any issues with that. It sort of limits you on battery size though, which is pretty annoying. Dad did, in his old Scat, fit an N100 in here once, but it was tight. It was very tight. This thing even got any charge in it? No, she's got nothing. She's dead flat, that old girl. So, my big plan is, I'm going to do away with that. And I'm going to build a battery tray that bolts to the same spot on the chassis rail, but I can fit 2 batteries on it because I want to do it. Right, so that's 2 battery box, or a dual battery box that's going to incorporate these 2 batteries. So I've got a lithium for the secondary battery, and then I've got an 850 cold cranking amps primary battery. I went along with a fair bit of cold cranking amps because Sarge is only a little motor, but it does have a pretty big winch on the front. So a fair bit of amperage to help with the winch. And then the plan's to mount the dual battery isolator and everything up underneath the sealed panel there because there's plenty of room underneath the floor there. So we'll have that set up there under the truck. We'll have dual battery isolator, then we'll have nice short cable runs between the batteries and the dual battery isolator to link them together. I've just got to work out a orientation on that the cables are going to work nice. And then I've got to work out how I want the batteries in the truck. So it's currently running that way. Do I run them that way? I don't know. I'm waiting on Adcom Steel to get back to me because I've ordered some steel. They've got to cut it, mainly because I can't put a full sheet of 4mm plate on the roof of the Falcon. So I'm getting it a quarter at 6x1200, and I'll stick that in the Falcon. We can bring it here. And I've got a rough sort of sketch idea on what I want to do blankly in my head. The ratchet straps are going to be to hold it down. So I'm just going to do one strap pretty much over the top of both of them. Going to have a divider plate in between the 2. And then there's going to be like a brace that comes down to the base of the battery tray so it doesn't fold in half. So there's going to be like a triangle brace here, both sides, divider plate. The divider plate's going to have a slot in it, so the strap will run up through the slot over the battery down to the other tie down. I could have got a bigger starter battery, but they didn't have a lithium second battery at the same size. So these are both the same case size, as you can sort of see. So I can just build the battery tray as a big rectangle, basically. So I could have definitely gone a bigger starter battery, like a N70 or an N100, but then like it would have been a bit fiddly. I said, do you have a matched case size set of batteries? I want a lithium and then a decent starting battery. And he goes, these 2. I went, done, give them to me. That's $600 of batteries there. Fuck. Okay, there's a basic layout. I'll take a bit of artistic design. I haven't mentioned the lightning holes because I'll feel it out when I'm building it, but that's the basic sort of shape. So that's a slot. It's a center divider to go there. That's a slot for the ratchet strap to pass through to hold both batteries down. This is the end plate that goes on the end, so that's the base. This is the end plate for either side. This lip's going to be bent down 15 millimeters, and then this is also going to go full length, so the corners will be welded down. I might drill some holes in the base plate in the center line as well as along the sides here to maybe plug weld the center divider down too. That way I don't have like a weld on the side where the battery's going to be potentially getting rubbed through. So I've accounted for the thickness of the center of the plate and double the thickness of the rubber, because I'm going to have rubber on the base and going up the center divider because they're going to be sort of held down and pinched in. I didn't bother doing any thickness for rubber this way because the ratchet strap's going to pretty much hold it in position anyway. Steel shop still hasn't rung me yet, so I've got to start the little green truck, clear the shit off the tray Sarge and get Sarge out, which is going to be a whole ordeal, but that's fine. Bingo, good enough. Get this out of the road, and we've got to start on getting that thing undone. Okay, well, it took a fair while to get Sarge out of the shed. Turns out I parked it with no diesel in it. I then cranked all the diesel out of the lines, put diesel in it, and then had a huge airlock to get out. It's still got an airlock in it now, but I got to run enough to get it out of the shed at least. So, seat out, which was a pain. Battery box out, which also was a second pain. And we're eyeballing up some positioning because of the height of the battery. I'm gonna have to set it up so the posts are in the center, because the factory battery box lid, which I was going to do away with, but I can't, I've got to keep it. It's got a high rise sort of bit there, so there's little infill panels that normally go here, which I've got sitting in the battery box. So my idea's still going to work. Not as elegant as I wanted it though, but hey, it's the way she goes, eh? But look, I thought the mounting base was a lot smaller than that, but it's actually pretty big, so that's pretty cool. And it's right in the middle, so I can basically set it up. I'm going to have countersunk bolts going through the base of the battery tray, and then I should be able to put one in from the front once I get it like in the right position, and then one in from the back, and still have my center divider. So I'll just push this forward, so I'll scooch that a bit further back. I'm hoping to have the center divider like basically right in the middle of this mount, so that battery, if I can get it to move without dropping it. Okay, so that battery's going to sit about there, and then the same for this side for the starting battery, or vice versa, whichever one I put in the front and the rear. This was just the loose battery because I half cranked my new starting battery flat starting this thing, so that was great. So it's on the charge. It's been fun. Oh yeah. So got me metal. Mad. Look at that, hey? What does it smell like? It smells like fresh metal. Mad. So I'm gonna have to start drawing my design out. I'm gonna have to probably change it a little bit. I might, instead of having this so sharp, I might sort of bring it in and up, make it a bit easier to load the batteries in. Like, I mean, it doesn't need a great deal to stop the batteries sliding side to side this way. And this lip here, I might have to put a notch in that for the chassis rail. So it's basically sits flat on top of the chassis rail. So that lip's gonna have to be notched around that there. So I'll build it as is, and then when I work out, you know, my positioning, then I'll notch it out. So. Okay, next part I decided to do is this. Remember I wanted to change this, I've done a bit of brainstorming and we've come up with this. So this is basically what I've drawn out on the paper here. And I thought, what if I just come into a set point, that, I just eyeballed it till the angle looked nice. Come in like that, that'll knock a fair bit of weight out. It's 20 mil up from the base, 20 mil out from the center, so that's gonna give it a fair bit of left-right stoppy on the batteries. But then still give me a fair bit of room to, like, if I can't slide the battery completely in this way, I can sort of hop it over the edge. So that should be nice. So I've got to cut 2 of them out now. Now that I'm thinking of it. But we're here now, so we're doing it. Well, it was only like $200 for the full sheet cut up, so whatever. I'll use it on stuff, probably that, maybe that, a little bit of that probably too, and the one around there, and maybe that one over there too. We'll see. Okay, cleaned up, cut, ready to go. So one more piece to go. Yep. And it's the center divider. So I've been looking and thinking, and because the battery posts are up so high, what I'm thinking, this centerpiece here, the high side of it, I don't have a dimension on it because I was just leaving it blank. I'm going to make that 5mm taller than the battery post as like a protector, because the battery posts are going to be close to that. So if that lid flexes down, it's not going to touch the battery posts. It didn't with a normal battery in there. It shouldn't anyway, but just in case. So the height of that, what was it? I did measure it. I forgot the measurement. Whatever. Anyway, 5mm higher than the battery post, basically. The posts are the same height on both batteries, which makes it easy. And then, so I think it was 235. Now that I remember, I think it's 235. So yeah. And then I'll just decide what design I want to do in the middle there. Whether I just do like, I don't know, something to make it a little bit lighter because this is going to be pretty heavy. But whatever. The Daihatsu weighs like 1200 kilos, so what's a battery box made out of 4mm really going to do? Should be right. I'll have a bit more of a noodle around in there and see if I can shake an idea out of it, and I'll draw it up and make it. Alright, there's our design. There's a lot of extra lines on there that I don't need, but you have to sort of, you know, you need some way to come off. So this triangle, that triangle, the ones with the X's are scrap. This is the pocket where the ratchet strap's going to go. Doesn't really need to be that big, but better bigger than like not. So that's your outline there. So I'll cut that out and then we'll get it up in the vise. I'm probably going to drill the corners here. So I'll bang a 13mm hole in there and then cut into the hole so it's got a nice radius and doesn't want to crack. And then same with this. The strap's 30mm wide. I was going to make the slot 40, but I've gone 50. So then once I've got the radius and the edges, it's still, you know, pulling nice. Even though it's not really pulling up or down, that slot's a little bit lower than the height of the battery, like the base of it. So the strap's just going to be passing through it. But I want it to look, you know, reasonably pretty. Mad, getting through her, but I don't think this is supposed to do this. Dang, that's a new drill. I got it on sale, but that shouldn't matter. Wonder if we'll drill the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes before it burns completely out. I think this is the only drill I've got here too. Fuck. Someone's bunning shut. Well, there we have it. After a fair bit of time blending and filing and hand filing, yeah, we got a finished piece. Nice and radiused off. Looks pretty good. Happy with it. So I'll probably just clip them corners off a little bit just so it's not like when I'm putting it together with all them bits, it's not like corner to corner and rising up. So I'll just grind a 45 on them, and we'll sand it, put it together. Or decide whether I want to drill holes and everything in it to like plug weld up into this. I'm still deciding that. I'm thinking. But yeah. All right, I've come up with an idea. So instead of drilling heaps of holes, I'm going to slit it with the grinder. Plough like a 5mm trench in there, and then I'm going to chamfer it pretty heavily with the power file. But I'm only going to do like the center. I'll do 2 inches right in the middle, so like come a 50, 50, and 50. And I'll do probably 2 spots in the base as well. And we'll go with that. I think that'll be alright. That way I don't have any welds on the inside where the batteries are going to sit and rub up against, potentially popping a hole in it. The case is pretty thick and it does have like ribbing there, but I don't want to risk it. Especially the plans to take this to Fraser Island, Cape York and all that fun stuff. Okay, there we have it. That's one done. Slot it out. I ended up going with 2 slots. I thought one in the middle might make the top rattle and that. So, alright, we've got the unit tacked up, square, and just filling this up. So I'll do like a fucking root run in the groove to connect it, and then that's a cap over the top so I can buff that back flat and you won't see it. We do have a bit of penetration. Whoop, just try and drop the phone a little bit. See, a bit of peno through, but that's not too bad. It's a lot smaller of a radius than if I had just welded it on the inside. So I'll keep going on with this, and then we'll work out where it's going to fit in that truck. Okay, that got it. You see I'm a bit high on the rubber height there, so I'll trim that off a bit. That's basically what I want. Just so it'll also stop the batteries wanting to slide side to side because they're on rubber, which is pretty rad. Well, that's a pretty looking pile of junk. Can't make it work. No luck. Just the only way will be to still load batteries in through the top, which I didn't want to. I wanted to avoid completely. So I'm going to give it a bit of time and it'll work tomorrow. So I'll have a think and see what I want to do. But the only way I can get it to work is if I make it so it bolts in from the bottom. I can then unbolt the battery tray, slide it along the chassis rail, load a battery, slide it back, load a battery, put it in position, bolt it up, and then I can do the wiring. It's about the only way I can get it to work. So, but to do that, I'm going to need like 20mm of packer, so I'm going to need some like 20 or 25mm plate. I can get that from work, so this will have to be it for now. Okay, it's been a couple of weeks since the other stuff you've just sort of seen. Had a bit happening with work, and then I had my cousin's wedding to go to, so nothing really much has changed. But I'm going to finish off the battery tray. Here's about $600 worth of gear. So these are the packers for the battery tray that I'm going to use. I'm going to tap them so I can then bolt up into the bottom of the battery tray. So those 4 are going to get welded to the bottom of the battery tray, and then lots of cable and stuff. So we've got battery terminals for the 4 batteries, obviously. Covers for them because they're very close to the floor. And then new battery cabling, a crimper because I did have access to a crimper, but that was at my old work. So I thought I'll just buy my own cable cutters. So I've got, this is 2 gauge, yeah, 2 gauge wire. So she's a pretty big core. A little bit thicker than your starter motor wire or average starter motor wire. So that should be pretty good. So I've got 3 meters of the negative, I've got 5 meters of the positive. The ground or the negative for both batteries I'm going to tie into the same ground lug where it goes onto the gearbox, the factory position in the Daihatsus. So I'm just going to have one 0 gauge lug with 2 ground cables coming out of it, and then they'll have their own cable thing going to the battery terminal. And then I'm going to rerun the starter motor power wire because it's a little undersized. I'm also using the lug on the starter motor as a cable connector basically for the positive for the winch. So I've always felt a bit funny about using the winch because the winch cable's bigger than the starter motor positive wire. And then when you start leaning on the winch a lot, we're worried about, shorting out the positive cable to the entire car. So we've got heaps of cable there. That'll be enough to run new for the starter motor, then positive between the dual battery isolator and all that fun stuff. A couple of things, and I'll show you once I get the shed open and I'll get my laptop out. I've been doing a bit of 3D designing. Well, the ball bar's moved on the back of this. The fuel tank in Sarge is buggered. It's actually the original fuel tank out of my brother's ute, which I'll put a photo up now. Right, so he started having fuel starvation issues after we put the Rocky motor in it years ago. It would suck air unless it was basically 3/4 full. So we figured the pickup tube is damaged in the tank somehow. So because Sarge is off the road, I switched tanks with him because I'd always planned on making a fuel cell. So the reason why the ball bar's moved off this, I needed a chassis to measure. So the plan is I'm building a fuel cell to go in here. This mount comes off completely. It's gone. It's going to go from 10mm from that mount to 30mm in front of the shocks, flush to the top of the chassis, and hang down 100mm like a little drop tank. So it's only going to hang down to about there. I've tapered the leading edge and the trailing edge, and I'm also planning on building the lower section or the body of the fuel tank out of 4mm mild steel, so it can take a fair knock. All right. Don't mind the old monitors. That's left over from an old gaming setup. I used to run triple monitor setup and whatnot way back in the day. My brother blew his computer up, so I'll give him my one. So everything's running on the old lappy. So I open up SolidWorks here. Bam! Fuel cell for the back Sarge there. Okay, so there's our fuel filler. This is the back, front. I'll put a chamfer on there. Probably didn't need it because it's like the diff's going to be here-ish. Where do we go? We'll just hide this. And we'll hide that as well. Bam. So you can see all the baffle plates and everything in there. Try and, stop the fuel sloshing around. And yeah, so the sidewalls, baffle plates, and lid are all made out of 2mm, and then this is all 4mm for the whole bottom piece of the body because it's going to be taking a bit of abuse. And then same for the filler neck, this is all 2mm as well. That's the folded piece. You pretty much draw it up as a flat pattern and then tell it where to fold, and then you just import the parts into your assembly and then tell it which edge to mate to what edge, and then you build your assembly from there. So yeah. And now I've got to get time to hit up my old boss and borrow his plasma cutter to cut it out. And then I can start welding it together. But it should hold about 100 litres. When it was, like when I done the volume calcs before I put the fuel filler neck in and cut these corners off, it was like 108 litres. And then obviously I've chamfered this, so it's probably going to be 90, 95-ish. Maybe a little bit less than 100 litres because obviously, like with the filler neck, I'm not going to be able to fill it flush to the lid. So yeah. So yeah, the factory tank is 50 or 55 litres. That rectangle tank. So anything more is better. If I made it that shape or that like length, but only made it 100mm high, which was the height of the chassis, it came out at 48 litres. And I was like, well, I could do that. That's only a little bit smaller than the factory tank. And then I was like, oh, what if I put 50mm on it? And then it was, it went to 60 something. And I was like, well, how much is it going to hang down to get about 100 litres? And yeah, so it's that flat bit there is basically the height of the chassis rail. Oh no, that one is, yeah. So that's the height of the chassis rail. So that's 100mm there, and then yeah, we've got Maybe I went 150mm below the chassis rail, I can't remember. Maybe it's 250 high. I drew this up probably a week and a half ago, so... But, yeah. I'm pretty happy with it. So, now... Right, back in the shed. So, I'll set the battery in there. You can see this is a ground and it's orange because the ground wire failed. That's welding cable and that's all I had at the time to build a ground wire out of. So that's like 50mm squared welding earth cable. That's going to go because I've got the new cable. And then this is the positive to the starter motor. See how thin it is. It's like thinner than my finger. So I'm going to do away with that and then go to that bigger cable. But one of the things I did do the other week before I had to go to the wedding is this thing's always had an issue with its headlights. It's been dull. The headlights have always been dull and I could never work it out. Again, I wasn't very good with 12 volt back then, before I'd done my automotive 12 volt course. So I ordered in like some super illegal, ultra bright bulbs for it. They were like 100 watt low beams and 180 watt highs or something. And they were still dull. I had to drive around with high beams on and I could never work it out. So I figured this thing's getting ready for rego. I'm going to need decent headlights because obviously there's nowhere to put spotlights on it. So I went and bought steady 7-inch round LED swap out headlights. Mad. Putting them in, I worked out what the issue was. So I fitted them and they were stuck on high beam. I couldn't dip them, they were just permanently stuck on high beam. So I nutted this out for like 2 hours, pulled them back out, I took them out, I bolted them into Dad's truck, the yellow one, and they worked in there. I was like, well, it's got to be something. So I'm working around, unplug the passenger side headlight and it would work. Oh, that's interesting. Plug the passenger side headlight, unplug the driver's side headlight, the passenger side headlight would work. What's going on there? The passenger side headlight plug from factory had the high beam and low beam positive wires flipped. So it was backfeeding power from each, and that's why the headlights were dull. So that's been the dull headlights issue this thing's had since I've had it. So they're really flash looking headlights though, and they're pretty bright, but yeah, I didn't particularly need them, but yeah. I went with the 3000K colouring yellow. They also do a 5000K the white. I'm not a big fan of white sort of light in a older truck, but yeah, it always used to kill Parker bulbs. Like these ones are dead again. I'm going to guess that's because them two wires were flipped. So that's great. It only took me 9 years to figure that out. Yeah, fun. All right. Still sounds fat. Oh, here we go. This is what it was doing last time I had it out. And it starts hunting like this and starts sucking in air, so... Okay, so I do definitely still have an issue. Time to give it a paint up. Got a lug on there for the ratchet strap. Drill and tap to hold the bolt for ratchet too. Yeah, we'll give it a bit of a warm up before I start laying down some colour. How hot is it? Yeah, warm to the touch. Might need to go and get more black paint. This is the only can I've got and it's nearly empty. We'll give it a bit of a dusting and then I'll shoot down the fucking road. Yeah, get some more. I never said I was a good painter. Oh, big run there. Whoops. I'm sure that'll dry. Yeah, there's like more thinners than paint coming out of this thing, which is a bit annoying. Well, we get something on there that's a bit tacky, well, gonna get another one. Bloody hell. Oof. Bloody wind blowing it back at me. Been building cables. Figured I'd start small, but not exactly easy. That's the 2 grounds for both batteries. So, what is it? It's 2 gauge, which is 35mm squared, and then double that up to a 0 gauge or 70mm squared end. So we've got them both going into the same terminal, which will go onto the factory point. I don't know if you can see that. There you go, back of the transfer case stick. That's where they all go. Let's see what we can do here. So, put that one on upside down, and then the other 2 right way up maybe. This one's the negative for the winch. And then that's the body ground. I'm just going to cut off this one. It's going to be in there. Okay, there we go. Now comes the fun part. Try to get these to blend together. Helps if you don't pull it all the way off. Cable's pulling on it funny. Okay, now just try and get that to start in there nice and easy. Cut the zip tie off, and we just feed them both in. Going to orientate them the same way as I've got the other ones orientated, and we'll start crimping. See, the jaws are together. That's good. Good crimp. And give it a pull. There you go. So that way they're both sides of the same. Top and bottom. You can go side to side, personal preference, whatever you want to do. Another big chunk of heat shrink off. And you're supposed to use a heat gun with this stuff, but I don't have one. So just be gentle with the blowtorch. Try and get all the way around it. Okay. up into the daylight like a good little battery cable. Okay, now to get out. Right. Okay. Is that where my fuel leak's coming from? Yes. I've got a random fuel leak every now and then when I'm starting it. I'm not really sure where it was coming from. I'm gonna guess it's probably that, being how loose it is. Okay. Don't swivel back the other way, you bastard. It's had like a bodgy end put on it, and I've always been meaning to fix that, and I never have. So that's fine. Now I wanted a nutsert this in, but would you believe I don't have any nutserts left, so that's fine. So we're using a factory Daihatsu coarse thread screw, and I've just drilled a small hole in the panel and making it work. That's fine. Alright, now the cables are in, might as well test to make sure the dual battery isolator actually works. We'll stick the battery in and start it, and then we should see this red arc isolator trigger once the start battery gets up. I think they switch over at like 13 volts or something like that. Ground is ground, so we can stay there. Yeah, nice. See what she wants to do. Well, it wants to crank, so that's a good thing. Hold it on glow. It's got a habit of bleeding fuel back, so we'll see how this goes. Especially with this shit fuel tank in it. Okay. Give it another glow. Yeah, that's that fuel bleed back. Okay, and we're idling again. Mad. Oh, we got here. It says it's charging, I guess. Red arc's lit up red on the top, so it's definitely getting power, which is good. I don't know if I've got a test light. I sort of need a test light. Not that draw, that draw. That's the electrical draw. That's got a filament in it. I wonder if I can just hold this onto something. Oh, okay. Well, that needs to go in somehow. It can't go in because it's hitting this, hitting the post pretty hard. So Yeah, I'm not super happy with this setup, but well, we're in it now, so we're just going to make it work. Where was the body mount bolt? So we've got one here, and then there should be one here somewhere. Right there, cool. I'm not going to bother with the inner guard. I'm hoping it'll just flex, or I can rattle out the apron bolt. Maybe I'll do that and just tilt the whole side of the truck where the body lines and everything will stay together. Okay, just to get to the batteries. That's gonna super suck, but oh well, I built it, I'll deal with it. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be something like that. I should be able to shuffle this back to where it's supposed to be. There. And I might bolt the battery box in before I drop the body down. The arm will still line up. Okay, now to come down gently on the jack and see how fucked I am. So I've got a feeling it's going to be very... Which is exactly what it does, so that's just lovely. Does it sit on both? Yes, it does. So I've got to cut both of them. Oh, this is so good. Yep. Mad. You ever just wish you had like a different fucking hobby some days? Why did I have to get involved in cars? It is sort of a brace. Maybe I should just notch it and not cut it all the way out. It's kind of a body brace. You can see where that sat on the battery real hard. That's the body earth. Nice. I guess if I notch it out the width of the battery tray and come back halfway, because it was only just on there, it's like 10 mil. Come back halfway, it'll it should be okay. Alright, as the halo mission goes, once more with feeling. So got the channels notched out underneath and painted up. It's a wee bit later because I had, you know, about 2 hours worth of phone calls all in one big hit, so that's fine. Let's get back into this. Okay. Okay, get that in there. What is this called? There we go. Okay. Next battery. Yeah, they end up roughly in the middle there somewhere. Something like that. You seen these new bloody Rust-Oleum cans? There's different nozzles and stuff on them. That's pretty rad. Yep. Okay, let's climb under and bolt this thing back in. Should be about the middle of these blocks. There we go. Okay, that's looking good. Shit all over me, but that's fine. Yeah, once that gets all strapped in, that'll be nice. Okay, let's go down. Double check that this rubber's in. Yes, it is. Okay. No, it's just that hitting. Alright. That's on the body mount. Yes, it is. Yeah. Okay, that's all nice. That's all nice. Sure. Enough clearance to get up and over that. Out of the road. And that still snaps on top. There's going to be more over there once the plates are in there. It seems all fine. Okay. Or if I have to, I could run it backwards. Can't run it backwards. Not with the way the terminals are going to be. Okay. Is there a way where you can sit somewhere so you can see what I'm doing? That would be nice. That isn't shining into my eyeballs. Okay. Found it. Alright. And they'll still sort of reach there. That's fine too. Can you just stay there for me? Oh, this is getting annoying. Right, that's it. Call it a day. It's annoying me and I'll break something. So we'll come back at this tomorrow. Okay. The next day, yet again, I didn't think a dual battery setup in a Daihatsu would take 3 days. Probably 4 actually, with making the tray and all that, but hey, we're here now. So I've got the wiring in here sorted out. Got more slack on the positive cable. I just pop the gear stick out and then flip the cable over the top of the gear stick. That's all the wiring for the forward drive light and the reverse lights. I haven't plugged that back in. I had to take that off. So that's all done. Now down to the positive cable to the second battery. Needs to be roughly twice the length of that. I don't have any more of these terminals. But what I do have is I've got an assortment of random cables hanging up on this here hook. And one of them cables is this one. So it's going to be a little bit longer than I need, but it's the shortest one out of that bunch that I actually want to use. So I'm going to pull the red boot off of that and put it onto the new black cable to, you know, say that that is positive. It looks about the same core, so it's still a 2-gauge wire, so that's all right. And then I'll hang this one up on the hook for future endeavours. So I'm going to do that now. Struggle to put that red boot onto this cable and then put it into the dual battery relay, and then the last thing I've got to do is put the ratchet strap on. Cut to length and all that fun stuff. And that's the dual battery kit done. So I'm going to crack onto that and we'll see how we go. Right, I've got the cable just sitting on there. I'm just trying to decide which way I want to orientate this so it's not too close to the gear or the exhaust. So that might do it. We'll bend up against the battery, and then there's a factory clamp up there. I'll stick it in that. I'll run a couple of P-clamps along here, and then we'll bring it around and up onto the battery. Can I finally have a dual battery kit in my truck? How good. Pretty pumped. Pretty pumped. It's only been probably 10... Oh, God, how long have I owned this thing? I can't even remember. Golly. Alright, so dual battery is active. With it running, both batteries are in. I haven't clamped anything up yet, so that'll come. But I'm going to have to do a bit of modification to the battery box, or the battery lid. So there's normally plastic infills on both sides, but with the way the battery box is set up, I moved it more over to this side to give me clearance with the tail shaft. I didn't want it right in the center anymore. And then that puts these two terminals under this lid. So move the lid over this way, and then I'll just build an infill panel to go in here. Sort of show you on Dad's truck how it works. So you've got your two side pieces there. So I've got to move this entire panel piece over here, pretty much. But that's all right. It'll work out okay, I think. It also helps if I don't put it on the wrong way, which I did have it. So yeah, that'll be nice. So I'll just do you got your 2 holes there, I'll just nutsert them, and I'll bolt in a little flat sheet, a little bit of 2mm or something, just to seal it off. And I only got to come up to this lip, and it should be fine. I haven't done the battery terminals up yet, so they're just sitting there loose, but I just wanted to see if the relay was going to do its thing, which it is, which is pretty mad. But yeah, a few hiccups along the way, not as elegant and nice as I would have liked it, but it turned out okay. I'm pretty happy with it. Fairly happy with it. Yeah, so I've still got to bolt the body down. I haven't bolted the body back down yet. These are all just sitting there loose. Yeah, it's not too bad. I'm happy-ish with it. At least I got these second batteries in, which is pretty mad. Super happy with that. This thing still works? Jeez, it's been a while since I've turned this on. Holy! UHF still works. Mad. So now with that done, barring a couple of clamps like on the inlet side and a windscreen, it's pretty much ready for rego. So that's mad. It's going on club rego with the car club I'm in, as will pretty much everything I own bar the Falcon. In 2 years, that patrol wagon out the front is eligible for club rego because it's a 97. And I was thinking of selling it, but maybe I'll just keep it and put it on club rego and bomb it around. Yeah. No, fairly happy with how it turned out. I still got to do the tie-in with the snorkel. I'm not sure if I want to keep that airbox. It's a Blizzard airbox, and they're a bit hard to get filters for. So I might go to like a Donaldson airbox, and then I'll just build me Z pipe to suit whatever airbox I put in there potentially. I haven't got that far into it. At the moment it works, and the snorkel's a bit of a more crawl, I think. But yeah. Dual battery isolator working. Ka-ching, how good. Pretty pumped up. Pretty pumped up. See if it's triggered off. I haven't charged the second battery, like that. The second battery since I bought it, so it might be a bit down on voltage because that relay's still active. And I've got to bolt that body mount earth up. I haven't done that yet, so I've got to do that too. But yeah, all in all, not too bad. There's not even really much cable I have to P-clamp up. Maybe the positive around the front of the battery tray. But other than that, it's not too terrible. So that's cool. Cool. But yeah, I'll end up pulling this piece off and I'll put that in Dad's truck because it's missing it and I don't really need it. I don't actually know why that's there. It doesn't really do anything. Yeah, Dad's doesn't have it, so I'll put it in it. This one's going to be fairly stock, and I'll probably pull the jack, the factory jack out of that, and I'll put it into this because on 35s you can't really use the factory jack anyway, so make Dad's truck the nice sort of stock mod truck. Anywho, I'm fairly happy with that. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Alright. Let's see. Bolt this in. I've got the strap already run over the top. Even though, you know, to get the batteries out, I've got to jack the car up, but it'll need some form of attachment. Shut the ratchet. Now I was debating when I was doing this which side I was going to put the ratchet on. And I was like, I'll put it on the back, that way it's easy to get to. I should have put it on the front. Miles of room at the front. All that space at the front. That's very annoying. Very annoying. Okay. I've come up with a plan. So, obviously bolting it to the side of the battery tray there is going to sit it too low. I can't ratchet it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a bit of this leftover little bit of steel so I don't have to bust into all of that. And I'm going to build a mount that bolts into that same bolt hole but has two ears coming out picking up these two. And I'll just bolt there and there. That gives me enough room to ratchet up, down, and then store the ratchet in its locked position so it can't come undone. The exhaust is coming up about there, so that should be alright. So now I've got to do a bunch of measuring. And the ears are going to be .30. And then overall height .20. And then we'll just put there's a countersink here somewhere. Okay. Decided to do the side ears that are going to hang on to the ratchet. I'm tapping them. So I'll tap them and then I'll put a lock nut on the inside. That should stop them coming apart, mate. Oh yeah, buddy. Bingo. Crisis averted. Now I can fit it back to the truck and be happy maybe. Okay. Nice. They're in there pretty tight. Might get a bit more of a wrap on it. So I'll pull a bit more slack into it. And just so I've got a bit more room to play with before I cut it off. Something like that. I'm going to lock that down. Bingo. One ratchet strap, battery mount. Mad. Pulling over there. Sweet. Slot I put in there is like the perfect height. Perfect. How good. That come up mad. Sweet. Okay, well that'll do it for this one. Finally, after 3 weeks, we've got the dual battery kit done, operational, bolted in. Longer than I anticipated, but that's the way she goes sometimes. Anywho, we'll catch us on the next one. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Stuff.